Hello and welcome to my very first What's for Dinner video. I'm going to be bringing you 3 easy and delicious recipes that take no time at all to throw together, and my family absolutely loves these. I'm going to be making a chicken pot pie, some Salisbury steak with no gravy, and then beef tips in the crock pot, which are so tender and so delicious. So for the first recipe, I'm going to be making chicken pot pie, and this is just kind of a throw together recipe. There's so many different ways to make it. This is just how I made it this night. I honestly don't even make it the same every single time I make it. But I'm going to start off by shredding a couple chicken breasts that I had poached the day before. And then I'm going to add in a can of cream of mushroom. Normally I do use cream of chicken. I just didn't have anything, so I made it work with the cream of mushroom. And then a couple of cans of mixed vegetables. You can definitely use frozen. I just think sometimes they turn out a little chewy when you use the frozen kind. The canned is not my favorite. Fresh is obviously my favorite, but wasn't feeling it. So then you're just going to mix all that together. And I did throw in a little bit of seasoned salt just to give it a little extra flavor. And I will add cheese sometimes, and that gives it a really nice flavor too. But you're just gonna mix everything all together in the bowl. And then you're gonna spread out your pie crust into the bottom. Make sure it spreads all the way to the edges. You don't want any air pockets or anything. And then just add your filling to the pie crust. It doesn't look like it's all gonna fit, but it'll all fit, trust me. Once you get your bottom crust filled, you're just going to add on your top layer of pie crust and then pinch the edges together, kind of rolling the bottom crust over the top crust. And then I go in with a fork and crimp all the edges down, and then I make some slits in the top so all the steam can escape, and this is what it looks like after you bake it. Like I said, this is a really easy chicken pot pie. It's not truly homemade or anything, but it turns out delicious. So for the next recipe, I'm going to be making Salisbury steak. And this is actually the first time I've ever made it without gravy, and it turned out really, really good. I just start with a pound of ground beef, and then I add in an envelope of onion soup mix, the Lipton kind. And then I add in a little bit of Worcestershire. And you can add in breadcrumbs and an egg if yours isn't sticking together, but mine usually does fine, so I leave those out. And then you're just going to patty it out and put it in a skillet and let everything get all nice and cooked and caramelized and crusty. I do put on a lid for a little bit just so it cooks all the way through, but I take it off at the very end. You do want to flip them halfway through cooking just to make sure the other side gets a crust on it too and everything cooks evenly. And we just had this with some Brussels sprouts and squash. And like I said, it turned out really good. I didn't even use ketchup or anything to dip it in. Normally I'll do it with like potatoes and gravy, but it was really good this way. So for the last dish I'm going to be making, it's beef tips in the slow cooker. And oh my God, these are amazing. I start by putting the beef tips in a Ziploc bag. And then I add in some seasonings and salt and regular all-purpose flour. Then I shake everything up to make sure everything's evenly coated and there's no chunks or anything left out, you know. And then I'm going to throw that in a preheated skillet with some oil. And the purpose here is just to brown the outsides of the meat. You're not worried about cooking it all the way through here since you're cooking it in a slow cooker. You're just going to add a little bit of flavor with the crust on the outside of the meat. Once you get them all brown, you're gonna go ahead and add them to the slow cooker. And I was clearly having trouble here. My pan was sticking to my crock pot liner, but it turned out okay in the end. And then I'm gonna add an envelope of onion soup mix, and then a can of cream of mushroom soup. And this is the key here. You have to add ginger ale. I know it sounds super weird. You cannot taste the ginger, my bad. But it makes the meat so tender. It breaks down the fibers in there, and it just, oh my gosh, it's so tender. You can also add a packet of brown gravy mix. I just didn't have any, so I left it out. But I did add in a little bit of beef base. And this is what it turned out looking like. I served it over rice with some Brussels sprouts and carrots. And oh my gosh, this is our favorite way to have beef tips. We have it at least once a month. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you'll subscribe.